Well, hey everybody, I'm John Redland, and this is every IWGP Heavyweight Champion ranked from worst to best. This includes champions from both New Japan and the short-lived Antonio Inoki Genome Federation. And I want to make mention that I'm an American idiot, so I'm probably going to screw up some of these names. It's just how I am, and also I just tend to screw up names. So I do apologize in advance for that. Also want to make mention that if some of these wrestlers have classic matches I need to check out, they're on YouTube, or if they're on New Japan World, and I don't mention them, please, the comment box is there. You guys have been great with my New Japan content, helping me out with any facts or anything that I missed. So please do that. Thank you guys very much. But let's get on with these 30 guys. Number one is going to be pretty obvious, though it may be a bit controversial. And maybe some of these picks will, but it's my list. And hey, you guys, again, comment box is there. Just let me know. Anyway, number 30, Brock Lesnar, 1 reign, 629 days, 3 defenses, mostly in the IGF. Look, Brock Lesnar is an athlete, should have worked in New Japan. Legit, when motivated, can absolutely put on a great match. And, big Americans over there could work pretty damn well. Especially when they got over either with Antonio Inoki or, in All Japan with Giant Baba. When All Japan was really, really hot. Not to say it doesn't have buzz now, but when Baba and Inoki just were bringing these guys over and just doing some great business and everything, big Americans really did get over, especially those who were big guys that could move well and everything. But anyway, Brock Lesnar should have worked. But nope, he decided to shit on the legacy of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. I hate him forever for it, even though I don't mind when he's out on WWE TV bashing people, in beatdowns and stuff like that. Him holding championships is absolutely, just ridiculous to me after what he did to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Should it be blamed on the bookers as well? Yes, it should. They should have known better and known that Brock wasn't going to want to do the traveling and everything and was probably just going to shit on the title, which he did, and that's why he's the worst ever. Who I almost put as the worst ever was Bob Sapp at number 29. 1 reign, 66 days, 1 defense. Bob Sapp, as far as like being, just a big guy in movies, like when he was in Elektra. Remember that? That was about the highlight of Bob Sapp's movie career. And Bob Sapp's wrestling career didn't really go all that much better, and he wasn't very good. Now, as far as, big guy, sure, he was a big guy. That's about it. Couldn't really do anything. This is when New Japan was starting to have its issues and everything. I think Inoki was starting to have a lot of issues with how he was booking and what stuff he was allowing to have happen, and anybody else who was in charge of this stuff, because it was just not very good. Bob Sapp just wasn't very good. Number 28. Tenryu. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his first name because I'm probably going to screw it up. Some older WWE fans will remember him, like, facing Demolition and stuff like that, and doing some good stuff, like on underneath matches and everything. But Tenryu was pretty goddamn good. 1 reign, 25 days, 0 defenses, but I like Tenryu. I think Tenryu was really pretty damn good. Obviously he didn't have a very long reign, but his career, it warranted him at least being champion for a little bit. Shame he didn't get to hold it longer. And then we get to number 27, Manabu Nakanishi. 1 reign, 45 days, 0 defenses. Look, with Nakanishi, you got to appreciate what the guy's career is in totality. Because honestly, if you see him now, like either teaming against Nagata or with Nagata, he's a shell of what he was. Now, that's going to happen to anybody that's in their, late 40s, early 50s that has beaten their body up like Nakanishi has. The guys will still hit a dive here and there or cross body, but mostly he's immobile. I mean, he can hit some power moves and stuff like that, but he does do a good job training the young lions. Anyway, he held the championship for a month and a half. Didn't get to hold all that long, but watching his earlier stuff, I have seen a few of his earlier matches, like, even from, like, the archives, like, say, 2008, 2009, which I know isn't a ton earlier, but it is about 10, 11 years ago. The guy actually really could go quite a bit. So I encourage people to check out his older stuff. And I may, at some point, just a little cheap plug, may try to review a couple of the older January shows, the big shows, maybe sometime in December to hype up for Wrestle Kingdom. I can't promise anything as I produce a lot of content, but I'm going to try to do that. Anyway, Nakanishi, 1 month and everything, 1.5 months, had to put him on here. So we get to number 26, Jay White, 1 reign, 54 days, 0 defenses. Jay White fangirls are going to be pissed, but I'm sorry. The reign was only because they backed themselves into a corner. Kenny Omega had left the company. They had, so Omega lost to Tanahashi. Jay White beat Okada. So they wrote themselves into a goddamn corner and had to have Jay White beat Tanahashi. The problem is Jay White wasn't ready. He just wasn't. Now, was he ready to win the U.S. title? I'd say so. IWGP Heavyweight Championship, it flopped. And also, they didn't really do anything with it because he didn't have any defenses. He won it at New Beginning in Osaka and then lost it at G1 Supercard. Now, he appeared on other shows. I'm not trying to say that he just totally phoned it in. Quite the opposite. But no one ever believed him as champion. Again, not saying that the guy isn't a great heel, because he is, and he is legit in the ring, but it was too much too soon, and it flopped. It flopped pretty bad. It didn't flop as bad as one title reign. I'm going to get to that here a little bit later. Number 25, a man who beat Vader. It's Shinya Hashimoto. 1 reign, 48 days, 0 defenses. I don't know much about the guy. Sorry, I don't know much about him. Apparently, he beat Vader sometime in May of '89, which is great. Vader is pretty goddamn over, and Vader ranks pretty high on this list, but it's really all I can say. Number 24, Masahiro Chono, 1 reign, 44 days, 0 defenses. Liger, Muta, and Chono are the 3 men that got me into Japanese wrestling. Muta and Liger first, and then Chono a little bit later, once I started seeing Chono on some WCW shows in 91, 92 mainly. Chono's really goddamn good. I mean, and I believe he does commentary now for New Japan. I believe he's been retired for a while. I don't think he wrestles anymore. But Chono was very, very good, even after the neck injury that he suffered at the hands of Steve Austin. Accidental, by the way. Kind of weird how Chono suffered it on a pile driver by Steve Austin, and Steve Austin about 5 years later suffered one with Owen Hart. Both accidents, not trying to imply anything there, but it's just kind of weird how things kind of got flipped like that. But Masahiro Chono, legit, great, great talent, didn't hold it very long. Number 23. Taduo Yasuda. I'm sorry. I really apologize for butchering these names. 1 reign, 48 days, 1 defense. Well, he got 1 successful defense. That's more than Chono got. So, good on him. We then get to number 22. Tetsuya Naito, 1 reign, 70 days, 1 defense. Yeah, he won it and then I believe lost it back to Okada at Dominion in Osaka 2016, if I recall correctly. It was Dominion Osaka, or it was soon after. Because I know, well, no, it was Dominion Osaka, because then he held it then Okada held it for nearly 2 years. I wonder if you can guess where Okada is ranked. But yeah, Naito, it's a shame this isn't 2 reigns, and he didn't win it at Wrestle Kingdom last year. It's a real shame, because they really had all that built. I get kind of why they did it, but still, it's a shame. But hey, Naito's still going to be ranked on this list, and he's ranked a little bit higher than some of them. Why? Because, well, Naito at least was somebody that the fans have gravitated towards, not just in Japan, but all over. I love Tetsuya Naito. Number 21, Nobuhiko Takada. 1 reign, 116 days, 1 defense. Well, now we're getting into the reigns that are a little bit better and a little bit higher and stuff like that, and I'm not too familiar with him. I'll make sure to check out some of his work, but looking at just straight numbers, 116 days, that's saying something. Number 20, Satoshi Kojima, 2 reigns, 168 days, easy for me to say, 2 defenses. Well, before, the leader of Bread Club was basically just chopping people and, angering Suzuki and working mainly tag matches. After coming back from a pretty catastrophic injury, Kojima's pretty goddamn over. There was actually, Kojima-gun before Suzuki kicked him out of that, and Kojima became a beloved babyface. Kojima, looking at his earlier stuff, face, heel, didn't matter. Guy was really goddamn good. Now he's kind of an elder statesman of New Japan, where he works and gets some pretty damn good pops. It was weird to see actually at the Crockett Cup, just a little bit of a sidebar, at the Crockett Cup, it was him and Nagata in a tag team. And Kojima did his, usual chop thing, and then did the thing out of the corner where he yells at the crowd, and I believe it translates roughly to "Let's go, you bastards," or "I'm gonna go," or it's like "Let's go, you bastards," something like that. But Kojima, yeah, Kojima pretty goddamn good before he started, before he got injured and, got older and everything. You could really say that about anybody. Number 19, Scott Norton, 2 reigns, 126 days, 4 defenses. Scott Norton, it's scary just how over he was in New Japan. I can see why, because again, big guys over there in Japan, All Japan, New Japan wouldn't matter. Norton could have gotten over anywhere, but you could see why Norton was beloved. Yeah, his WCW run really wasn't all that great. He was mainly working tag matches, or he worked against Ice Train at Fallboro 96. Oh boy, that was submission match. That was a great. No, it wasn't great at all. But I like Scott Norton. I think Scott Norton's a legit athlete, and I think still works. I don't know if he still wrestles, but as far as somebody that got over in America and that got over in New Japan, Norton's up there. Norton's up there, especially somebody in the 90s. Scott Norton, very, very legit. Then we go to number 18, Togi Makabe. 1 reign, 161 days, 3 defenses. Well, before he became part of the never-ending, never open-weight six-man tag team championships. I mean, and I kid about that, but it's like he's champions with Yano and Taguchi, and I don't think they've defended the titles on a New Japan show in, what, 4 months? 3 months? 4 months? I don't actually remember. But, you know, I mean, I know they have that as a partnership with CMLL. I'm not trying to imply anything otherwise, but Makabe, before he got to where he was just, you know, working these tag matches and this kind of stuff, or the odd singles feud, Makabe is pretty goddamn over. As a heel, you know, one of the members of the Most Violent Players with Yano. Well, actually, I think they were kind of babyface heel. Makabe is really goddamn good, and a lot of his older stuff really impressive. It's amazing how many main events or semi-main events he would end up having. And just seeing how his career grew for a while. And I mean, he's still good, don't get me wrong. I would like to see him get a singles championship run again. But his 2 reigns, that's why he's ranked about in the middle here. I mean, not quite in the middle, but it's kind of top-heavy here after this. We then get to number 17, rather. Yoshihiro Takayama, 1 reign, 185 days, 3 defenses. Not so familiar with him, but if you're going to go to 185 days, just over 6 months as IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and defended at least 3 times. So that's the thing. They make the championship, you know, defenses mean something. They build some good feuds and everything with all the programming and all the tours, and they build this stuff up. That shows that they have a lot of faith. They had a lot of faith in him, and that's good. And he's got to get a shout here. Number 16, Hiroyoshi Tenzan. I should have just said Tenzan. Tenzan, before he was busting out, you know, some moonsault, shockingly, at about 51, 52 years old, earlier this year, and working some pretty good matches, and, you know, having still a pretty good mullet. I mean, just a really good mullet. 4 reigns, 197 days, 2 defenses. Maybe if he had it a little bit longer, I might have ranked him in the top 15 here. But Tenzan is another guy, like Makabe, who is forgotten about as being a really, really good champion. And somebody that really, along with many others, Tanahashi, I will have to obviously shout him out later down this list, or later up on this list, was somebody that was, you know, Tanahashi was the ace and somebody they focus on, but a lot of people may forget, some newer fans, and sometimes even I forget seeing some of these guys in matches, tag matches. Tenzan, Makabe, and many other, Kojima and others, did help establish a really good base in New Japan. And at least Tenzan is still able to go out there. I think he was injured for a while, and I think he just came back on a tour. Or he's injured and he's going to be coming back soon. Hopefully he's back in time for World Tag League, as I think Tenzan Nakanishi, or Tenzan Nagata, or whatever, could make for a really good combo. But his time as champion, very good. Very good. I mean, yeah, didn't get to hold him more than, like, you know, just under 50 days combined, so like 49 and third days, 49 and a quarter days. Still, they showed some faith in him because they gave it to him 4 different times. Number 15, in the Inoki Genome Federation. God, that's so weird to say. Kurt Angle, 1 reign, 233 days, 2 defenses. So he beats Brock, and then he loses to, he beats Brock and then defends it again at one point, and then loses it to Nakamura, and then Nakamura is the last champion there before IGF closes down. Kurt Angle, at least, the reason he's ranked in the middle here, it was during the weird time in New Japan, but at least he could fit over there in New Japan really goddamn well and get over because he was a legit Olympian. I mean, is a legit Olympian. And somebody that worked extremely hard once he left WWE. Now, he worked hard in WWE also and beat his body to shit. But he's a guy, kind of like Dr. Death Steve Williams. I mean, not as big, but just as far as like a legit athlete, he's somebody that could work well in New Japan and did. And you could tell, treat it with respect. He proudly displayed that he was IWGP Heavyweight Champion, unlike Brock, the piece of shit that he is. Hell, it was even on, Impact Wrestling TV, back when Impact and New Japan actually had a working relationship before they screwed up all that stuff with Okada. Hooray! Previous administration, not current Impact Wrestling. But anyway, number 14, Kenny Omega, 1 reign, 209 days, 3 defenses. I wanted to rank Omega a lot lower than this because, I'm sorry, when he won the title, it was great. When he beat Okada in one of the best matches that New Japan or wrestling has put on in a number of years, that 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit match at Dominion Osaka 2018 was absolutely incredible. I'm not the biggest Omega fan, but I got to give a shout and say that was really, really good. That being said, once he won the title, it was all downhill from there. He worked with Cody. He faced Tomohiro Ishii. He had a good run, the G1, don't get me wrong. But then he worked with Cody and Ibushi. And then he lost to Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. And I'm not saying that Omega, that was all on Omega, but he was a guy that once you got him away from Okada, he could have good matches. He could have even great matches. But he could never have somebody that he could work with like Okada. Okada helped make Omega. As good as Omega is, you take those Okada matches away and you try to give me 5 New Japan matches, like big matches, or no, let's say 10. 10 big New Japan matches that Kenny Omega did really, really good in where he wasn't with somebody of equal stature. It sounds like I'm burying Omega. I'm not. I'm just saying that Umaga, no. Anyway, so Okada helped make him. He really, really did. My opinion. I think Omega's reign after he won the championship was kind of a flop. Sorry. Number 13, Antonio Inoki, 1 reign, 325 days, 4 defenses. What the fuck you want me to say? It's Antonio Inoki above Kenny Omega. At least I did that. Now, yes, Inoki maybe should be ranked top 10 for all that he did for Japanese wrestling. Whether he booked himself up there, whether he did what he did, I mean, whatever, doesn't matter. Antonio Inoki is a legendary name in Japanese wrestling. Now, sure, a lot of the stuff that he may or may not have done as far as like, some behind the scenes stuff or some outside of wrestling activities that he had. That being said, in the ring, Antonio Inoki, come on, what else am I going to say? What else can I really say about one of the most legendary names in Japanese wrestling? Really, what can I say? And yeah, he only held it once. He only held it once. That's saying something. He could have been like Jeff Jarrett and booked himself as NWA champion for about 5,000 years. It was only actually about 3 of the 4 years, but still, hey, at least Inoki in the ring, legendary. Can't say anything else. Then we get to number 12, AJ Styles, 2 reigns, 307 combined days, 3 defenses. If you would have told me after AJ Styles left Impact Wrestling that New Japan would put their main belt on him, I would have laughed at you guys. And I would have laughed at him, not because I didn't think AJ was talented, not because I didn't think New Japan wouldn't see the talent in him, but like, no, they're not going to give it to him. And I was wrong, and I was proven wrong. And I was especially wrong about how much success he would have in WWE. But anyway, he made New Japan his home for a couple years, and it fucking worked. He was a great champion. He really was a great goddamn champion. It's a shame if he had stuck around longer, he might have been the first ever U.S. champion. But I get why he wanted to go to WWE, and look, it turned out to be a boom for him. Got a lot of money, even though I'm sure he did well money-wise in New Japan. But my God, he made New Japan his home. The brief time that he was there, only a couple of years, it really worked. Or actually, it was about 2-3 years. No, it was 2 years. Anyway, now we get to number 11, Riki Choshu, 3 reigns, 383 days, 5 defenses. Riki Choshu, it's one of the most legendary names in Japanese wrestling. I can't say I've seen too much of his work. I've seen a few matches. They're kind of jumbled around in my head right now among a whole bunch of other things, but it's Riki Choshu, legend in Japan. What else am I going to say? Look up his stuff. I'll have to look up some of his stuff after this. But he is great. It's really great, and somebody that is respected and revered by a lot of fans and everything, old and young alike. I mean, younger fans probably should learn more about him, like myself. Even though I'm 38 years old, I still got a lot to learn. There's always a lot to learn in wrestling. Number 10, Shinsuke Nakamura. 3 reigns, 390 days, 3 defenses. Is Shinsuke Nakamura the greatest IWGP Intercontinental Champion of all time? Ooh, I did a list on that, and I just spoiled it, but whatever. You could check out the countdown list or check out the timeline on the channel. But come on, Nakamura, he deserved it. He absolutely deserved it. And he beat his ass up in in New Japan, so now his WWE run, hey, it sort of makes sense why he is what he is, why he's doing what he's doing, and why he works hard in some matches, but then he's divisive among that. Anyway, he beat his body to shit. Him and AJ Styles had great matches. He would always have great matches. He faced Brock Lesnar. He would just do some incredible shit. He beat Kurt Angle for the championship, and then IGF shut down. Nakamura is a great talent, and can't take that away from him. Number 9, Kazuyaki Fujita. Fujita, I've heard the name. I can't recall too much. I've seen of his work, but 3 reigns, 478 days, and 3 defenses. Well, they clearly had some faith in him if they were going to give it to him for that long. And, even on an average or whatever, a lot, like 150-something days, that's a lot. Well, 155 days. That's a lot of faith to have in somebody to give your main belt to, because that's the guy. It's like old school stuff. That's the guy that's drawing your houses, the guy you're building your company around, having everybody underneath, and then he can elevate them. So they must have had a lot of faith in Fujita. And based just on reputation alone, I can definitely see why. Number 8, Big Van Vader. Easy for me to say. 3 reigns, 451 days, 4 defenses. Inoki saw something in Vader, put him over strong in Vader's debut. He's beat up Inoki. He beat Inoki really quick. There was almost like, riots because of that, because this big old American hoss just came over and just destroyed their main guy and the guy that started the company. But Vader held the championship. That match, his matches with Stan Hansen, the amount of shit that Vader did in Japan is legendary and will stand the test of time. Big Van Vader is absolutely incredible. He is sorely missed. It's so bad that he was not able to be inducted in WWE Hall of Fame before he passed away, but Big Van Vader is one of the best, and that's why he's ranked here on this list. We then get to number 7, Kensuke Sasaki. And I probably pronounced that wrong. 5 reigns, 647 days, 11 defenses. This was the guy that Road Warrior Hawk teamed with in New Japan, for people who don't remember, and the guy that they brought over sometimes in WCW, because WCW and New Japan had a working relationship. And the guy that was good but didn't really get over to an extent. Sasaki, though, really, really good. He really was. I mean, he was obviously much bigger in Japan, but he made a bit of a splash here in the U.S., and also Hawk must have seen a lot in him, and New Japan must have just seen a lot of him, because, my God, 5 reigns, 11 defenses. They don't take that shit lightly over there. And number 6, Yuji Nagata, 2 reigns, 570 days, 11 defenses. Okay, a bit of a bias. I love Yuji Nagata. I loved him when, brief times they had him in WCW. I love watching Nagata even now. I hope he continues to wrestle as long as he wants. I love Yuji Nagata. I just love the kicks, the eye roll that he has in the back of his head, just the arm bars, the way he hits stuff with such precision and impact, and even into his early 50s, the guy is still moving around so damn well. Obviously not as good as he did, but going to a match, it was like Global Impact Japan. It was Kurt Angle against Yuji Nagata, and that incredible fucking match that they had on that DVD. And if you find that DVD on either Amazon, or if Shop Impact has a sale or whatever, and you can find that, get that freaking DVD. I have it, and it's absolutely great. But Nagata, for years and years, just this incredible athlete and a great ambassador for, Japanese wrestling. Not just New Japan wrestling, Japanese wrestling in general. Nagata is absolutely great. Yeah, now enough gushing over Yuji Nagata, even though as great as he is. Number 5, Tatsumi Fujinami, 6 reigns, 785 days, 13 defenses. The man that faced Ric Flair for the NWA title at Super Brawl 1. And so many other things besides that, but that might be a match that people may remember him most for. Fujinami, incredible athlete. Really, really great. Him and Flair had some great chemistry. Fujinami had many classics in New Japan. And just in general, the guy was really, really good. Classic worker. Good submissions, everything, good strikes, stuff that you would expect from Japanese wrestling. The guy just really was goddamn good. And translated well over here in the U.S., even for a brief time. I mean, if you can work with Flair, you can work with just about anybody. And I mean, I'm just saying that because Flair could make anybody look good, but Fujinami hung with him step for step. That's still one of my favorite WCW main event, pay-per-view main events that they've done. If I did like top 25, that would probably be up there. Assuming I haven't already done that, because I've done a lot of videos. But anyway, Fujinami, very, very good. Then we get to, Shinya Hashimoto. 3 reigns, 1,052 combined days, 20 defenses. Hashimoto is another name that is revered in Japan, and unfortunately, I believe he died when he was 40. He was somebody that he didn't get to live very long. He died in 2005, and it's a shame. I mean, to think he packed that many days, 3 reigns, and that many defenses in that time. That showed the faith they had in him. And I mean, 40, it's really just scary that he just died at 40 years old, but he was revered, and still is revered in New Japan. He's somebody that I need to go back and watch some more matches on, but just based on reputation, have to put him up here, and also on the number of days. But number 3, the Great Muta, Keiji Muto, guy that helped train Sonata. You could tell. They might have mentioned it 1 or about 50,000 times with the Muta moonsault. But anyway, 4 reigns, 1,238 days, 19 defenses. I love the Great Muta. Again, Muta, Liger, Chono, but Muta especially. was, you know, Muta and Liger, especially, were the men that got me into Japanese wrestling. They opened the gate and let me into watching Japanese wrestling, the tape trading, all that. Being able to go back and watch classic stuff. Being able to see Jushin Thunder Liger earlier this year at the Super J Cup, you know, perform in the opening tag match, What Is 2019. But Muta, I love Muta when I first saw him in WCW, and then I got tape trading stuff because one of my friends had an uncle that got the tape trades, and I was able to see stuff that Muta could do in Japan. Muta absolutely blew me away. And he absolutely deserved to hold the championship for as long as he did. Like, you know, 300 some odd days every, you know, on average for reigns. That's saying something. You don't sneeze at something like that. You don't take that shit lightly. Muta is one of the legends of New Japan. And All Japan. He worked in All Japan, you know, for a number of years as well. I just love the great Muta, can you tell? Number 2, Hiroshi Tanahashi. 8 reigns, 1,396 days, 28 defenses. Unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to get to 1,400 days. I think that Tanahashi is done being the champion. Now, could they give it to him one more time? Sure. I don't think they should, though. And that's nothing against Tanahashi, who is great. If he had held it just a few more days, it would have been 1,400 days. Tanahashi is the ace. He is the man that helped bring New Japan out of the dark ages, so to speak, after that whole IGF thing and all that stuff that I talked about earlier. Tanahashi is one of those incredible workers that you just can't help but just love. Now, is he what he was? Absolutely not. The man beat his body up. The man's being held together by rubber band staples and bits of tissue paper wrapped around his joints and his muscles and everything, because he rarely took time off. He would just fight through injuries. He got so much scar tissue in one of his arms. And I'm not knocking the guy, but it's just like he beat his body up so much that now he's, 41, 42? And he still moves well, but he will not be wrestling much past another couple years. And I bet we're going to probably see Tanahashi versus Chris Jericho, and Tanahashi's going to have to help carry Chris Jericho. But anyway, another story for another day. Thank God Chris Jericho isn't on this list, because I was really worried about that. But, God, please don't give Chris Jericho the championship. But back to Tanahashi. The man just did. The man has done everything in New Japan. Continues to do everything. Continues to do so much. He's great. But number 1, yep, I'm sorry, guys. You can call me a stupid mark. You can call me a newer fan if you want. But looking at facts, looking at history, Kazuchika Okada, 5 reigns, 1,710 plus days. It's probably going to be closer to 1,800 by the time we get to Wrestle Kingdom. It's going to be, near 1,800. It's going to be like 17, almost 1,800. Because I don't think he's going to defend a power struggle unless they pull out, some shocking thing. It's going to be Ibushi versus Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, the night 1 of that event. 28 defenses. He just needs one more successful defense to pass Tanahashi, which he will do eventually. Not in this reign, because I think Ibushi's beaten him. But, God forbid, Okada is just, he was somebody they built around. They saw some big things in after that debacle and Impact when he was the whole Kato Green Hornet thing. They brought him in, had him shockingly beat Tanahashi, had him do some stuff. He was a heel for a while, became a beloved babyface. A 720-day reign from Dominion Osaka 2016 to Dominion Osaka 2018, because I think Dominion Osaka 2018 was later in the month, and then in 2018 it was like the 9th. So it was like just 2 weeks shy of being, a 2-year reign. And Okada is great. Now, people can say it's boring. People can say whatever. People can call me an idiot. But I'm still going to say Kazuchika Okada until somebody else comes along, and you can present stuff in the comments if you'd like, is the greatest IWGP Heavyweight Champion of all time. But I'm open to discussion. So please leave in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handles in the description. I'm sorry my voice is giving out. I'm John Ritland. I will see you soon.